Scanning for audio. Scanning for audio.
Morning. Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. This time I'll be talking about Luther Arkwright, Volume 2 from Big Finish. It's taken 18 years since we had the first Luther Arkwright. Now, for those of you who don't know, Brian Talbot, how do I describe this? There's a handful of wizards, literature wizards, people who have a handle on spirituality and mysticism and excellent storytelling. Michael Moorcock, Alan Moore, and Brian Talbot. Those three people have a view, a way of seeing the universe that they've brought to their storytelling over the years. Those stories have become incredibly influential and have permeated through culture. You see their references everywhere. Now, back in the 70s, well, a long time ago, Luther Arkwright was brought to us. And he is a universe, multiverse hopping person. Homo superior, Homo novus, actually. The next iteration of the human race. One of the parallels is in trouble, and him and Rose and several other characters all come together using a supercomputer called Wotan, to save the universe. Okay, that's the first volume. Second volume follows on from that. Primarily, this is split into two halves: Daughters of Albion and Cataclysm. Now, I have got a signed copy of Daughters of Albion, of the book, of the sequel. Now, the book was already out when the first volume came out. The reason it's taken so long is because the person playing Luther, this person who can slip between universes, was an actor called David Tennant. Yeah, he did Luther Arkwright, which he loved, and then did Doctor Who. It's a bit distracting. Now, when the pandemic arrived, Jason Hay Gallery decided to approach good old David and say, "You did promise to do the second one? Are you free?" Now, because there's been such a big gap, certain actors have just given up acting completely. They just weren't available. A lot of persuasion has happened. Luther's character doesn't really appear a huge amount in episode 1, in the first disc, let's call it that. However, Wotan has got the personality matrix that projects as Luther. So that's still a performance from David Tennant. Very subtle, very different, very, very good. Let's look at the synopsis and we'll go from there. The legacy of Luther Arkwright haunts his daughter Victoria as she embarks on a mission to uncover her family's greatest secrets. So part 1, what we'll call disc 1. Princess Victoria Arkwright never knew her father, a man whose shadow she has lived under since he saved the multiverse from the cataclysmic forces of the Disruptors. They were the villains in the first one. 23 years after she and her brother Henry were born into the flames of war, Victoria seeks answers, but the truth lies deep in the shadows as rebellion gains momentum against Queen Anne's totalitarian rule. Yeah. Dark forces grow at the heart of the British Empire, forces that threaten all realities. The multiverse needs Luther Arkwright to save it once more, but Luther Arkwright is dead. Part 2, Cataclysm. Victoria Arkwright is drawn towards her destiny as she unravels the dangerous secrets that have remained hidden since her brother's brutal murder. Prophecy says that reality will cease on her 23rd birthday, which is Victory Day. But with the help of Harry Fairfax and Rose Wylde, Victoria is determined to prevent the apocalypse. To unlock her true self, Victoria must embrace painful realities and the enormity of the multiverse. Only then will she discover the legacy of Luther Arkwright. These are huge stories, incredibly difficult, and they've been put together by, well, if memory serves, it is Mark Wright. Now, I interviewed Mark about, 9 years ago? And he'd said he had written Heart of Empire. So this script's been around for a long time. We never thought we'd get to see Heart of Empire in our grubby little protuberances. But here it is. We've got it. Now, I love Brian's work. I actually own an original page from the original run of Luther Arkwright. I've got signed copies of, like I said, Heart of Empire, and the print that he was selling as well at the print. They're all gorgeous. He's even done a little doodle of Luther. But here we're going to talk about the audio, and my God, it's good. Okay, right. Pay attention. Jason, please direct more, right? You directed, Jason Hay-Gallery, the executive producer of Big Finish, loves Luther Arkwright with the same sort of passion that, I've got, or Brian's got. He just loves it. And he's turned up and he's directed, the first half, the first disc of this. And it's just beautiful. I mean, there's a level of love in all Big Finish products. And a level that's given to us as a listener to experience, to throw into. But this is not something you can just have on in the background. This is for a journey. This is something you save, something you'll savor, something you'll keep to yourself and go, right, it's time. Because you need to concentrate, because there's a lot going on. This isn't just another Eternal Champion or any of those other stories. This is not Doctor Who by any stretch of the imagination. It's also so much more emotionally rewarding than any of the multiverse nonsense you get these days. It's not Doctor Strange. It's not even as good as Spider-Man in the multiverse. This was one of the first, and this works gorgeously. And on audio, when there's a complex battle and there's stuff going on, there's just enough exposition for you to grasp what's going on in the incredible soundscape, as well as know that you are part of the story. It's a slow burn, I'll grant you that, but the journey is so worth it. Don't just sit there going, when's David turning up? No, that's not what this is about. This is about the heart of the Empire. This is about what it means. And there's also brilliant, I wouldn't even say running gag, there's this great thing about Lady Diana Spencer in it as well. That's fine. That's beautifully constructed, because this is a world, you know what, in the first few seconds you listen to the previously on, which isn't really that, it's sewn into the narrative, and you realise, you remember, all of a sudden you go, oh my God, Paul Darrow was Cromwell in the first one, I must go back and listen to that. And perhaps that is homework you need to do before you get this one, because all that will do is make your listening even more enjoyable. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is an absolute gem. Jason needs to stop just being an executive producer and come back and do some actual directing. Give us something different. Go on, Jason. It's been 1,000 years, and this is an example of something that is just beautiful. It's only $12.99, and you know what? It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Of all of the things to come out of the pandemic, this is a beautiful hidden gem of a story that we never thought we'd get, and I am eternally grateful. So thank you for going, what could David do? He did promise, and he did, and he's come through beautifully. David does turn up. If you're listening just for Dave, he's here. Here's the trailer. Decide for yourself. But if you don't hear this, and you've never heard the first one, you're missing out on something really special. So until next time, be seeing you.
From Big Finish Productions, Luther Arkwright, Heart of Empire.
There are an infinity of universes, each flowing from a single event. Parallels reliant on each other for existence, but detached and separate. Effect follows cause. Tick follows tock. Variations of history and historical figures falling in variations of love, fighting variations of war. A variation of London, the heart of empire. The dour capital of Cromwell's Commonwealth has been transformed into the flower of cities all. A new Babylon. An architectural fantasia where, they say, the streets are paved with gold. The rich parade themselves like cattle. The vulgarity of their fashion a clash of modern and historical styles, recreated in Semite and cloth of gold, decadent and superior. Sexual liberation and overindulgence, a reaction to the centuries-long austerity of Puritan prudery. An austerity destroyed 23 years ago by the angel of death.
Not kill me. You will not be able to pull that trigger.
You forget one thing, Cromwell.
What?
Your death wish. A drive for self-destruction. Nothing can shield that. It's over.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the Tin Dog Podcast. Everything discussed is the intellectual property of others. No infringement is intended. For early access to reviews, follow the show on YouTube or Twitter @Tin Dog Podcast. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.